What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're looking at animating a mesh. So basically we have this bear, dancing bear over here. We are going to take his basic mesh and add some animation, a walking animation, dancing animation, idle animation, all that kind of stuff. By the end of the tutorial, you're going to have a walking / running / dancing bear or any other mesh that you want. So guys, let's get right into it. Alright, so get your favorite mesh out. This is my bear over here, and if you want this bear, you can find it under the website. It is a free download, so you go over to n3k.ca/download, or you just click here, and then you can find the walking bear. This is going to include the bear and its animations. So you click here, you download it for free, and then you can install the package. Once you're done downloading the package, you can simply double click on it and it will open up in Unity. Now you will see over here that there is few things in this package. There is the texture, the controller, the animation controller, and then the rest is just stuff in my current project. This is grayed out. And then there is a material, so we'll import that as well. Oh, actually I already have this one. And then the mesh of the bear, the idle animation, the running, and the walking animation. We also have a prefab that's going to put everything together. So basically what we're about to do is already done in this prefab. You can simply drag and drop if you want, but we're going to learn how to put it together today with these two scripts down here. So let's go ahead and import everything. And once this is done, we are going to drag and drop a bear, or actually it's right here, but we're going to drag and drop a new bear in the scene using this prefab. And as you can tell, it's almost working. It's already running around. We don't actually want that. We want to create it ourselves. So what we're going to be doing today is starting from scratch. Let's go ahead and go under artwork. This could work for your mesh, this could work for anything really that has animation on it. You're going to drag and drop your character that is in T-pose, or whatever pose that is easier for you to rig. So here's our bear right now. Doesn't have any animation on it, and it's just standing here, idle. Let's take our idle mesh right here and create a controller for it. So I'm going to right click anywhere in the project folder, create, and then do a Animator Controller. I'll call this new bear in my case, but you can just call it whatever you feel like. If you double click on it, you'll open up the animator in which you are going to do most of the logic. So this is some kind of state machine that will tell your character what animation to play at what time. So we're going to start by adding our 3 different animation in here. Let's right click, create a state, empty for now, then click on that new state. We're going to call this one idle. Now you get to choose what is the motion here, so let's actually just click right here and you should see the animation right here. So we have the idle, we have a mixamo.com, which I'm not quite sure which animation is that, but we'll just pick idle from now. And then once that is done, let's actually create another one, empty. This is going to be the walking. The motion is going to be walking, or your walking animation really, and another one for running. Same thing, we pick the motion, running motion. And now we have to mix them together so it actually makes sense. Right here you have the entry, so as soon as the game starts, or as soon as this object is being animated, basically as soon as this object is enabled, it's going to jump right into this stance. So let's have a look what this gives us in the game. If we just press play and have a look at the animator at the same time, you're going to see that nothing happens at first, and that is because our bear doesn't really have a controller just yet. We have to drag and drop our new bear right in this field. Now from now on, this mesh is going to use this animator. Let's hit play. And as soon as the game starts, we are playing the idle animation. So it's really subtle in this one. You don't really see it much, but as you can tell, it's playing. And when it's over, it actually starts over again. And this is only because of a special settings that if you're on your own custom mesh, you might not have, so we're going to go through it. Make sure you go under artwork, find your animation. Here are my animations. So we have the idle, running in place, and walking. Now the idle, I have to make sure I go under the animation tab right here and make sure that this one is on loop. Really important, it has a loop time, then we hit apply. Else, if we don't, if you just imported like your mesh right now from Blender or 3ds Max, you're going to see that your animation, they only play once. So once this blue bar is over, you get to have a dead motion. So nothing happened at this point and it's just stuck there. We definitely don't want that. Make sure it is on loop. We're going to hit apply, make sure the running is the same. Yep, the running is the same, and also the walking. All my animations should be ready to go. Now at this point, we need to determine we should be idle all the time until my character starts moving. Now we're going to make our bear move. This is something that maybe you already have. You already have a script that moves your character. If you don't, there is one included in the script folder that you should have included with the bear if you're using this mesh. If not, you can make your own. It's fairly simple. I'm going to show this one in the screen right now. Should not take a very long time to copy if you're into that. Else, we have a very good tutorial that is going to teach you how to make a character move around if you need to pick this up as well. Just look at the end of this video. So basically what we have is a run speed, walk speed, then we grab the controller, the animator, and the rest is just script to make the logic work a little bit. So if we go down in the update, we just do our typical logic. We check if we're pressing on shift. If we're pressing on shift, then we go at run speed, else walk speed. We take our inputs, basic stuff, rotate with the view of the camera, and then right here we do something that is actually required for our logic to work. When we are done moving everything, we take the velocity of our controller, so we take the speed at which our controller goes, and we assign a float called speed to our animator. Now to do this, you need to first pick up a reference to your animator, which I do right here. Anim is equal to getComponentAnimator. And then we do anim.setFloat. The name is speed. This is a string. Make sure it is capitalized. Well, make sure it's the same as the one you use inside of the animator. We'll see that in a second. And then you send in the speed at which your character goes right now. So this script actually sends a float every single frame with the speed it's going at right now. So this is what we're going to use to determine whether we're walking or running. Now to have the animator over here receive that float, we have to create it under parameters. So let's go under parameter and then click the little plus sign. We're then going to create a float and call it speed. Make sure it has the right capital letter. Now if I head over on my bear and I add the motor script, like right here, press on play and move around a little bit, oh, you're going to see that there is no character controller attached. So let's go ahead and add this one, character controller. And then might need a little bit of tweaking, of course, but yeah, it needs a little bit of tweaking. But as you can tell over here, we have the speed. When I'm going in diagonal, I'm hitting 2.1, and when I'm just going like this, 1.5. If I'm holding shift, you're going to see that I reach 5 quite fast. So this is the float we're going to be using, and as you can tell, the animator knows about this float, and it actually updates it every single frame. Now just for the sake of it, little second here, I'll make sure that my character controller is at the right place. So let's say 125, sounds great. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Alright, so now that my animator knows at which speed I go, I can start creating some conditions. So we're always idle at all time basically. What we're going to do is right click, idle, make a transition. When we're idle, we're going to check, are we able to enter the walking state? To do that, let's click on this little transition we just made and add a condition. The condition is going to be, is speed greater than say 0.2? Something really small. We know that it goes at about 1.5 or 2.1. So as soon as we move from idle and have a little bit of speed, we're going to move on to walking. Really important that we actually tick off the has exit time. Else it's going to wait until the whole animation plays and then check if it's ready to walk, which we don't want. We want to be able to swap in between these as fast as possible. So let's try this real quick. As you can tell, I'm now walking just by pressing this. And if I stop walking, I keep on walking. So we got to make sure we can actually exit the walking state as well. So let's go from here, make a transition by right clicking and then back to idle. Now this arrow that points down to idle, we're going to make sure it has no exit time, and the condition is going to be if speed is less than 0.2. Click on play again and let's try this out. We're walking around, then we stop, and we're back on idle. So this worked for the walking, simple stuff. Now for the running, we can go from walking to running by creating transition just like this. And this one's going to be as simple as the other one. So if speed is greater than say 2.2, because we know the maximum walking speed you can reach is 2.1. Then we just do this, make sure it has no exit time, and then same thing from running to walking. No exit time, condition is going to be speed if it's lesser than 2.2. And at this point, we should have a walking bear and a running bear if I'm holding shift. And that's how we create some simple animation. Let's go ahead and just complete this demo by plugging in the camera script I have lying over there. So it's a basic camera script as well called camera control. I'm going to put it in here. We're going to look at the bear, and the cam transform is going to be itself, why not, with a distance of say 6 meters. If I head over now to my game and actually play this out, you're going to see that we have a walking and running bear, just like we saw in the demo, guys. So this is how we do some simple animation. There's also some other stuff I'd like to show you right now. In case you have some special animation that you want to play at a certain time, you can use some other condition. You don't really have to use the speed all the time to manipulate this. You don't really have to use floats. You can actually use what they call triggers or simply booleans. Let's add another condition just to have a look at how this could work. So if I head over to this little plus sign here, I had a new condition, call it trigger. Let's call it dense. Now what happens is we have this trigger that is only going to be played once, and we can add it somewhere in our state machine now. So for the sake of this, I'm going to fetch a dancing animation somewhere in my assets. There it is. I'm going to import it. Make sure we clean it up like we did for the other ones. The bear actually has a weird scaling factor, so let's put that on scale factor 100. Animation, we want to make sure it actually loops, and then we can hit apply. So this is our dancing animation. Alright, so what I can do at this point is from any sites at any point, if I click say on any key or something, if I call my trigger, my bear is actually going to start dancing. This is the logic I'm trying to achieve here. So first, what I need is a state. So create a new state. Let's call it dancing. And the motion is going to be the dancing motion. Now at any point, anywhere, if I call my trigger dance, I'd like my bear to start dancing. Let's make a transition. Now from any state to dancing, there is this transition. Let's click on it and add the condition dance. This one doesn't take in any parameters simply because it's a trigger, so you're only going to call this once and it's going to act as a go now directly kind of deal. So if we start playing the game and I manually trigger by clicking here, my bear is going to start dancing. Now the only problem with that right now with the current state we have is that we can move around and it doesn't go back to running. It just keeps on dancing all the time. So what we want to do is a few things. You have to rearrange your state machine so you can create a transition from dancing to idle. Let's say if speed is greater than 0, that could work. Then we stop dancing and we go back to idle, and if our speed is then bigger than something, it can start walking. So let's just stand here, press on dancing, it's dancing, and if we move now, oh, it doesn't work simply because we didn't create a, we didn't tell him that he doesn't need a exit time. So let's click on that arrow again, remove the has exit time, and we can try this one more time. We now dance and we start moving now. He starts walking. So you could have a special key inside of your game that trigger that dance, or you could have some different logic completely. So you could say you can't do that from any state. You actually have to be idle to dance. You can also do that by doing this. Oh, actually, let's leave this transition here. So if you're idle, then you can start dancing, only if you press on the trigger. Now before we actually end this tutorial, let's actually show you how to trigger this thing. We can actually do it quite simply by calling our animator, just like we did here. Let's say we go in the update here. Let's create a special condition for this. If input get key down, key code, D for dance, then we go ahead and we say anim dot set trigger, and we find the name of that trigger. So in that case, that was dance. Now if I press D and I'm idle, it's going to start dancing. let's try this out one more time. Just making a little bit of space so we can see. I'm walking around, I'm pressing D right now. As you can tell, the dance trigger has been triggered, and it doesn't do anything. Oh, I actually forgot to put the has exit time, that might be why. Remove the has exit time. And alright, so let's try that one more time. As you can tell right here, my dance trigger is actually on because I pressed D to move, and now I'm going to stop. It's going to start dancing and it consume my trigger. So if I move again, nothing happens. I stop, nothing happens. If I press on D, it's going to start dancing. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned something, and if you did, please leave me a like. That always helps quite a lot. You can find these assets on n3k.ca/download, and they're right here, they're for free, and you can grab these. So if you'd like to know more about moving your character around, you can find a video tutorial right now on the screen. Just click on it, it's going to take you there, and it is a very good tutorial showing you the steps by step that you need to take to actually start moving this around. You can then combine it with your mesh and have a moving character that jumps and also that falls. Thank you so much for watching guys. Check out the Facebook page, the Patreon page, and I will see you in the next one.